Hello, family. I'm Carlos Aspinall from the Great Commission Church. Today, we want to share with you a summary of our Sunday teaching, presented as a reflection by our visual commentators and drawn from our sermon notes.
Welcome! It's so good to be with you again. Today, we're going to review the excellent Spirit-inspired message that Pastor Carlos Aspinall shared with us last Sunday here at the Great Commission Church in Hanover Park, Illinois. The theme was Trust and Wisdom in God, based on Proverbs chapter 3, verses 1 through 8.
That's right. And the pastor began with a fascinating reflection on the infinite wisdom of our Creator. Think about it. From the very beginning, the Lord designed the concept of rest. It's not a human idea. It's a divine design. After 6 days of work, 1 day for rest.
Exactly. And this isn't just an interesting detail from Genesis, but a divine command. God himself, after 6 days of creation, rested on the seventh, sanctified it, and established it in the law as one of the 10 commandments, Exodus 20, verse 8. It's a principle that teaches us about obedience. Pastor Carlos illustrated it very well. The point is not so much to debate whether it's Saturday or Sunday. The important thing is to understand the spirit of the law. 6 days of work and 1 day of rest for the Lord in obedience. If your first work day is Monday, your seventh is Sunday. If it's Sunday, then your rest is Saturday. That is the spirit of the law.
Absolutely. And that obedience is the doorway to wisdom. In fact, the sermon was structured from Proverbs 3 into 4 key aspects that flow from trusting the Lord. Let's focus on the practical applications the pastor gave us for each one.
Perfect. The first point was the wisdom that comes from obedience to the Word of God, verses 1 and 2. The application for us as a congregation was very direct. Are we taking time to read and meditate on the Word? Because if we don't know it, how can we obey it?
And the pastor challenged us with the example of punctuality. We're punctual for an earthly boss, but sometimes we arrive late to our appointment with the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. Being punctual at Sunday service, in worship, is a reflection of wisdom and obedience.
The second point was about the wisdom that comes from living with mercy and truth, verses 3 and 4. The application here is for our relationships within the church. If a brother fails, truth requires us not to ignore the error, but mercy calls us to restore with love, not judge harshly.
Correct. Truth without mercy is cruelty, and mercy without truth is complicity. We need both to reflect the heart of Christ in our community.
The third aspect was the wisdom of trusting the Lord with all your heart and not in your own understanding, verses 5 and 6. The application is crucial for all of us. When we face a crisis, like losing a job, is our first reaction despair and human calculation, or is it prayer and trust that He will make our path straight?
It's a constant challenge to stop leaning on what we see or understand and really depend on Him. And the fourth point complements that, the wisdom that comes from the fear and reverence of the Lord, verses 7 and 8.
Yes, and the application is to turn away from evil. When we face temptations, reverent fear of the Lord gives us the strength to say no, knowing that decision brings peace and health to our whole being. As the proverb says, it will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones.
Exactly. Now, to summarize, the pastor highlighted 4 conclusions that are the core of the message. First, obedience to the Word of God prolongs our days and gives us inner peace. Second, mercy and truth are practical foundations that attract God's favor and the respect of people.
Third, trusting fully in the Lord frees us from self-sufficiency and guarantees that He will direct our paths. And fourth, reverent fear of God keeps us from evil and brings spiritual health and renewal to our whole being.
Very clear and powerful principles.
Definitely. And to bring all this down from knowledge into practice, the sermon closed with 5 self-reflection questions that we want to share with you.
The first, am I remembering and practicing the Word of God in my daily decisions? The advice is to dedicate at least 10 minutes a day to meditate on it.
The second, do I guide my relationships with mercy and truth? The practical advice is, before reacting, to ask ourselves if our response has both components.
The third question, do I trust the Lord with all my heart, or do I lean more on my own understanding? Here, the key is to make prayer our first resource, not our last resort.
The fourth, am I acknowledging God in all my ways? We must examine whether we are including him in our family, financial, and work plans.
And the last, do I live with a reverent fear that keeps me away from evil? This translates into a personal commitment to turn away from what we know displeases the Lord, even if it's popular.
An excellent summary of a very edifying sermon. For those who want to go deeper and watch Pastor Carlos's full sermon, you can visit our website, www.conlgc.org/preachings, and also our YouTube channel at La Grande Commission LGC.
Until next time.
Until next time.